Hi, hello, and welcome back to the HII Method. My name is Jen Hatz. I am the host of the HII Method podcast and also the founder of the HII Method, a holistic, integrative, and innovative approach to assessing and optimizing human health, well-being, and performance. And I'm partnered with Neuroforce One, a human performance company that has been training champions for years. And they offer training and assessments in their facility, as well as remote options available. And if you saw the title of this video, then you're probably maybe a little bit fired up already about the fact that I'm calling you out, or calling really just alcohol out as being something that you do not need to be having. That if you are in fact engaging in any kind of drinking behaviors in any way, shape, or form, that even just a little bit is unnecessary. It is potentially even hazardous to your health to have even just a little bit. In fact, the recommendations, the large-scale recommendations for alcohol intake is to not consume. If you are already not consuming, then continue to live by that standard that you're not consuming alcohol. That's the gold, that's the key there, is that do not consume it if you're already not consuming it. And then there's, I would say, like an asterisk then for a recommendation. We'll call it a quote-unquote recommendation, because it's then this kind of a loose guideline of what constitutes moderate drinking. And that recommendation, and this is for at least American recommendations, that dictates that moderate drinking can consist of anywhere from one drink a day for women, which could look like up to 7 drinks per week, and anywhere from 1 to 2 drinks a day for men, which could look like 7 to 14 drinks per week. And the difference between the men and women is primarily because of typical body size. So therefore, the amount of blood volume really that you have and your ability to then metabolize and circulate any of the metabolites from alcohol safely and effectively to remove from your system. So that's the idea behind moderate drinking recommendations that are being put out there. And I have to say, if you can even just imagine the fact that moderate drinking can be considered, in this case, up to 7 drinks a week for women and up to 14 drinks per men, and that's still considered moderate. That is a big problem. So not only does that sound problematic that we are kind of categorizing that amount of alcohol intake as being moderate, but then that ends up being a problem that if you do end up in some way needing medical care of some sort, even unrelated to, at least not directly related to drinking, but you're filling out a questionnaire and the screening questions are asking you about your behaviors, your habits, your lifestyle, and you check off that, yeah, I have 6 drinks a week. And well, now you're totally fine. You're considered healthy because that's a moderate amount of drinking. So they're probably going to look past that as a potential area of a risk factor that might be contributing to your health and in some way implementing or having an implication in your medical condition that you need to be looking into. So that right there is a big red flag of why we don't want to look at recommendations, and we certainly don't want to allow for recommendations to be so far skewed that it misses the mark when it comes to using that for screening purposes for health. But that's probably an entire topic in itself that I could go over, and I can go on and on about that topic. Man, I love that. But otherwise, the concept of alcohol and why we really want to zero in on the first recommendation that is the universal recommendation around alcohol intake, and it's to not consume it. If you are already not consuming it, then continue to not consume it. Why is this the first recommendation? Because alcohol in no amount is beneficial to your health. Period. There is no amount of alcohol that is serving a benefit to your health. And this idea that we can allow for at least a moderate intake based on lifestyle decisions, that's really just the very PC way to say, like, we don't want to have to regulate this thing, because it is in fact something that is, well, it's a vice, first of all, but it's something that is not contributing to your health. And in fact, it's actually doing far worse. So alcohol, here's a little info for you. So alcohol is not a nutrient, it is an anti-nutrient. It's a toxin. It's a neurotoxin. It binds to receptors in your brain and actually blocks the communication within your brain and from your brain to your body. So within your brain, your ability to process stimuli, your ability to perceive what's going on around you in your environment, and to be able to coordinate, to be able to speak and communicate, this is all hindered because this toxin is binding and blocking this ability. Also, that communication from the brain to the body. So if your body needs to be able to respond in a certain way, then you're not able to respond in that way. You lose that coordination, you lose balance, but also at the far end of the spectrum there, with a high enough amount of this toxin in your system, blocking that communication within your brain and from your brain to your body. And this is at the far end of the spectrum when you see examples of like alcohol poisoning. The top contributor for the cause of death really from alcohol poisoning is more so because the body was trying to remove this alcohol, like specifically try to remove it out of the stomach and out of the intestines by vomiting and trying to regurgitate. But the signaling from the brain to the body to be able to like cough or clear the throat or to be able to help with this action of regurgitation is so hindered that you're not actually able to have this basic survival instinct, this basic survival function to keep yourself alive. That's how scary that this can be in high enough amounts. But even so, at the very tip of the spectrum, the very minimal amount, no amount of it is actually beneficial to your health. So as I said, it's an anti-nutrient. So not only is it doing all of that for your brain, and therefore it also is related to structural damage and also like a slew of different cognitive dysfunctions. It's going to impact mental health. It's going to impact coordination, balance, communication. And all this is both acute and long-term, depending on how consistent and how high volume the behavior is of drinking. Now, when I said that anti-nutrient, so it is not only impacting your brain, it's also impacting your gut, because you absorb alcohol specifically through your small intestine. The very first part of your intestine is where you absorb really all fluids and foods primarily that you're absorbing all of this. And so it's deteriorating and impacting the integrity of your gut lining. And that also then impacts how well you absorb nutrients from your food. And there's actually a very specific nutrient, vitamin B1, that is impacted. Your ability to absorb it is impacted because of alcohol intake, specifically with deteriorating the gut. And so what you can see long-term in chronic alcoholism is that there is a long-term B1 deficiency that leads to what is called vernix encephalopathy. This is a type of change in the brain specific to a B1 deficiency caused by an inability to absorb B1 in the gut lining because of alcohol intake. Oh my goodness, talk about a gut-brain connection there, all related to alcohol intake and the long-term dysfunction that can happen because of it. Now, all of that to say, if you're wondering how even just a little bit, though, could impact, so to look at alcohol in terms of, like I said, it's a toxin and a neurotoxin. So not only is it binding to receptors in your brain, but the fact that it's a toxin, your body identifies it as a toxin. It identifies it as an anti-nutrient. It's also termed a priority fuel because all of the other fuels, in this case, that you might be metabolizing are going to be essentially put on hold so that your body can quickly turn its attention towards metabolizing this alcohol in order to remove it. So it's a priority now. Once this alcohol is in your system, your specifically your body metabolically is channeling that focus towards trying to quickly basically metabolize and remove safely and quickly as possible this alcohol. So you have a very fast rate of metabolism. So even one drink would be essentially metabolized and removed from your system within about an hour. That's like the rough estimate of how long it would take to metabolize. And that is very fast because, again, it's prioritizing. Your body has to prioritize getting this toxin out of your system because it needs to protect your brain. It's trying to like keep you from having this binding effect in your brain. So it's going to do whatever it can to get it out of your system. So when that happens, your liver is metabolizing the alcohol and it will, your body will use its own body water in order to assist in helping to pull then these metabolites out of your system through your urine. So you will urinate out the remaining metabolites after your liver has done what it has to do. But so before I go onto that, so part of that equation then of you metabolizing and removing alcohol means that you are compromising your body water content in the process. And this is why you will continue to pee a lot when you are having especially a lot of drinks. And you might end up having like a moment where you break the seal and now you're like peeing every 10 minutes. And it's because your body is trying to get out all of this alcohol that you've been taking in. And so some of that volume of fluid that you're peeing out could be from the fluid that you're drinking, but it's also from your own body water content, because this is a priority to get this stuff out of your system as fast as possible. Now, on top of all that, whatever your body is not able to effectively remove through this process of urinating out with water content, essentially, then any other remaining metabolites will be converted into a storage form that is safe to store in the body, and that means a fatty acid. So you start to accumulate fatty acids first within the liver, and then those fatty acids can travel around your body as well. So this is how you end up with or you can hear of circumstances where you end up with a fatty liver due to chronic alcoholism, because those fatty deposits are there in the liver because that's the remaining metabolic little tissues, little metabolites that are remaining from the alcohol being metabolized, but not being able to remove from the body, in this case through water, through being able to remove it from fluid loss, basically through urine. So that combination of not only losing your body's water content, but then also gaining these fatty acids that can travel within your body as well. This is all impacting your overall health on a variety of different ways. Your overall lean body mass, your performance, your recovery, anything that you could possibly want to have as a benefit for yourself, for your health, your physical and mental health, is all now at risk, just because your body is trying to do what it can to protect itself from this toxin that you are choosing to take in. Man, that was a bold statement I just made. So I hope that doesn't hurt anyone's feelings, but I do have other episodes about alcohol intake and about the social implications about alcohol intake and the fact that it is in fact everywhere. And because of that, it can become very difficult to view alcohol in this, if anything, a binary viewpoint, a very black and white viewpoint of have it or not have it, because of the fact that it's so deeply woven into social experiences and social environments around us. So you can check out those episodes on the HII Method. And otherwise, for right now, just know that the best decision you can make for your health, your physical and mental health, for your body composition, for how your body moves and performs and recovers, and for your current health and your long-term health, the best decision you can make is to not take in any alcohol, period. I hope y'all learned something today. Drop a comment below if you learned something new about alcohol. And if you have any other questions about this topic, please feel free to leave a comment below. And otherwise, if you can like, share, and subscribe so we can spread the love and spread the light. All right. Thank you all. Bye-bye.